guys, guess what I found at the thrift store today for 10 bucks? You know what this means. It's time to make a Twinkie, which is normally something I would say to my wife as an advance, but I mean it in the literal sense this time. As a pudgy individual, I take food very seriously, so I'm going to take this as serious as anything. So we're just gonna tie this around. Perfect. I wish. Now, normally you would see this from like many different angles. The room would have good lighting, you'd get the instructions on the screen and things like that, but you're on a comedian's page where I found a Twinkie maker for $10 at a thrift store, so you get what you get. So let's get started. All right, in a large bowl, cream butter and sugar until light and fluffy. Why am I about to do this by hand? Doing that by hand? I have technology. All right, so let's do this instead. 1 stick of butter. Just so you guys know, we are making red velvet Twinkies. Do I have any practice making Twinkies? Absolutely not. But much like my parents said when they made me, we're just gonna go ahead and wing it, and if it comes out fucked up, we're gonna love it anyways. So, into a bowl goes 1 cup of granulated sugar. That needs thingies on it. You can tell I'm a professional because I say things like thingies. Now we just gotta plug this baby in, and we'll be done with this mixing thing in no time. Get that down, and well, this seems to be a problem. That's okay. That's why we keep a spare. There, that looks light and fluffy. Now some of you may be asking, Cody, can we see what light and fluffy looks like? No, you may not, because much like God and the people that birthed me, I'm ashamed of what I've created. So, recipe requires 2 large eggs plus 1 egg yolk. Which means I'm going to have to separate an egg. And if you're asking me, do I know how to do that? I will say stop asking questions. 1 egg yolk. And then 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Alright, next, beat until incorporated. Which sounds exactly like how I was raised. Add flour, baking powder, baking soda, cocoa powder, milk, and food coloring. I'm going to do that 1 step at a time because I don't read well. So add flour. 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, boop, baking soda, 1 teaspoon, boop, cocoa powder, boop, and boop. And that was 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Slight difference, but most of you know that when it comes to baking, size does in fact matter, and nowhere else. Anyway, milk. 3/4 cup of milk, and a little bit for me. Because I'm the only one that drinks milk in this house, so this is fine. Also 1 1/2 teaspoons of red food coloring. Mix on low speed until well incorporated. And I do love that they knew that they'd be working with morons, because here in the instructions it does tell me to plug in the unit. So that is an important step in this process. Spray with vegetable oil, because lubrication is always important. Now, we're going to fill our cavity 3/4 of the way full. Now, I know most of you hooligans are going to try to fill it all the way, but you're going to hurt something, so just go easy. Close up the unit, and those are going to bake for about 4 to 7 minutes. Now, most people would use a timer to keep track of that, but that would require too many things going on in my brain, and we're just going to go ahead and guess. Next, it's time to make the filling. With an electric mixer, which still have right here. And for legal reasons, I should probably tell you that I wash these with soap and water. But because we're so cool, I'm going to tell you how I clean these things at first. Probably should have been on an OnlyFans page. Mix together vegetable shortening and butter until blended. 3 tablespoons of vegetable shortening, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Mix that together. We'll go ahead and call that mixed. And gradually add powdered sugar until incorporated, for which you will need 1 cup of powdered sugar. And I know that I said slowly incorporate. And to me, that just says half now, half later. Before I do that, time is up to check on our Twinkies. Oh, and those just look like perfection. So good that you could cry, which I realize I'm about to because I don't have a drying rack. What I do have, though, is a baking sheet that'll work just fine. Now, normally I would use this fork to stick into a toaster to just end my life completely, but we're going to use it to get these out of the unit. So we're just going to slowly pick these up, casually, not trying to burn our hands. Hot sucking bitch. God, fuck you. Well, that one worked out well. Oh, you piece of fucking... Alright, no problem whatsoever. Now, the recipe says this makes 8 cakes, and we have 6 so far, and way more batter, so it's probably going to make more, which is what we're going to do. Now, I know what you're probably saying. Cody, I didn't see you reapply the baking spray. Don't you think you should probably do that? To which I should say, I don't think about my actions until I have to suffer the consequences. Close that down for another 4 to 7 minutes. Back to this. In goes 1 cup of light shortening. Much like other things in life, sometimes it doesn't all the way come out, so you're going to have to use your hand. Now, we've got our light corn syrup and our vanilla extract mixed in, so now we're going to mix it all together until it, and as this is stated, it is the consistency of mayonnaise, which just makes you hungry for Twinkies, doesn't it? Now, being of the mayonnaise folk, I know definitely that does not look like mayonnaise just yet, but we're getting there. Oh, we had a blowout, which means it's time. That seems fine. Now, once you get the icing to the desired consistency and you've let the Twinkies cool, it's time to fill the icing into a piping bag in order to pipe it into the Twinkies. Now, I've already made my life more difficult than it needs to be, so I'm using a shortcut. We're going to make 3 holes into our Twinkies and fill them with icing. Now, some of you may ask, Cody, why 3 holes? To which I would say, treat yourself. I know they said try filling a Twink for Pride Month, but I don't feel like this is what they were talking about. And there we have it. We didn't completely screw it up, so let's give this a try. That's not half bad. Kind of proud of myself. I love when chefs give a recommendation on where you should eat these. So I would say this is a good place for when you're sitting at home and just hate yourself and want to gorge yourself. It said it makes 8, but I got 14. So either I did something very right or very wrong. So far it seems like I did something right. Oh god, I need milk.